Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to another great episode of Woman to Woman, and I am your host, Vanessa Williams-Morgan. It is such a pleasure to be with you here tonight on another fine Tuesday night. May the blessing of God and His favor rest and abide with you wherever you are listening to the sound of my voice from. Now, if you are from YouTube or you are from Spotify or Amazon Music, welcome to Woman. I will be taking you through tonight. If this is your very first time, welcome. This is the podcast where we discuss all things women, and it is by women. This is our very first season, and we have 20 episodes per season. So, this is our very first season, and I will be going through solo. I'm flying solo for the very first season, and then we'll take a little break, and then we'll jump right back into season two. So, we are about 15 episodes in, or 13 episodes in. I could be mistaken, but we are we're doing great, we're doing lovely, we are maintaining the momentum over here. So if this is your vibe, go ahead and join the tribe and subscribe. Now, today's episode is shut your mouth. Yeah, tonight's episode is shut your mouth. And I know it might sound harsh and you might be like, Vanessa, oh my God, that is very ooh of you. But shut your mouth, you chat too much. Shut your mouth. And I'm not being rude. I am talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. Shut your mouth. The Bible says life and death is in the power of the tongue. I think it's Proverbs 18. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Shut your mouth. Shut up. You talk too much, man. Yes? So I was doing some doom scrolling the other day because I didn't have a phone and I was just jumping back into social media and I was, going through the things, right? So I was doing some doom scrolling and this is can be a very dangerous game to play, girls, okay? So while I was accidentally scrolling, and I ended up back into 2016. I started coming across some pictures of myself and just random pictures because the thing with me is that I am a creative. I love to take pictures, right? So I was just going back through, looking back on some pictures from 10 years ago. And I was just looking at, how my life has changed ever since then. And I want to say, I want to say that going back through, I realized that though I have changed, I have also remained the same in some ways, right? And one of my very favorite quotes to ever say is I can't wait to become who I am. I can't wait to become who I truly am. I can't wait to afford who I truly am. Because I've always said that what you're looking at right now is the budgeted version of me. I've always said it and I've still maintained that this is not the real me, right? The real me that lives inside, this is not who you are meeting. So I've always said that, right? And single time I say it, like, people laugh. And what deep inside, I really actually mean it. Like, it's not because I hate who I am. This is not about self hatred, but it's because I've always had such a huge vision for my life. I've always believed that there's more to me. I've always believed that God has placed something massive inside of me. Sometimes when I look around, I think this can't be all because it doesn't align with the vision that God has placed inside me, right? So I know that I am still under construction, and maybe you I've felt that way some time ago or still feeling that way. Not because you are ungrateful, but because you know that there is something inside of you that is yet to be revealed, right? But here's the danger. When you're living in this budgeted version of yourself, it is easy to start speaking life like you are right now, right? It is easy to say, I will never own that, and I will never recover, and I will never get married, and I will never have children, I will never start that business, and I will never get out of debt, and I will never that. Shut your mouth, man. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth because your mouth is creating an atmosphere where your faith is trying to escape. A couple episodes ago, I share some of my entrepreneurial journeys. And let me tell you, I have failed a lot. And some people only know the version of me that they see today. They don't know the girl who was walking around a transport bag full of waist trainers and ear extensions. Yes, I remember that I had a business that I was selling waist trainer and ear extension, and I would go and I will get the ear cheap from AliExpress and Alibaba, and I will sell them back to anybody who wants to buy the ear. And I will also, I used to partner up with this girl and we used to buy the ear. She used to buy the ear and ship them. And then I will take it from her and then had my markup and sell them back and resell it. And things that are going good. I also used to sell waist trainer. And I think the page is still active on Instagram. It is called Pretty Girls, and that was my business name at the time. And I was just doing my thing from my transport at that time. I i had a car. I think I had a car then. No, 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 I didn't have a car then. But then I was a mother of one and I did not have a car and I only had the transport. And I would just stuff all my little things in the transport. And I had my little business cards, because business card was a thing then. And I would just go about and just, anytime I see one pretty girl, like, girl, you need my ear. Get the ear from me, girl. Get the ear. And that was what I used to do. And I was making a decent little profit, but it was not a big profit. It was, a nice little thing. I could have gone, float and do my thing. You know, one of the year that I had was, I think I married in the very last year that I sold. My wedding picture is one of the very last unit that I sold. I wasn't ashamed of the hustling, No, I was just hustling, and that is just who I am. And it was just a stepping stone in my dream, right? I believe that one customer at the time could change my future, and that's just how I look at it. And then I started another business because that's who I am. I pivot, I move on, and I will keep growing. So long before COVID made grocery delivery popular, I was doing it, right? So I had a smoothie bar and a green grocery. It was at Gateway Plaza in Old Harbor. Right when you stand up downstairs at Quick Start, where Quick Start was, when you look up, that section used to be mine. Next to where the insurance office was, that section used to be mine, right? And I had a green grocery and a smoothie bar up there long before it is popular now to have that. I would love if you follow me on Instagram, guys. Follow me on Instagram at underscore dreaming goal underscore, and follow me on TikTok. I'm gonna post those pictures so you can see it. So long before all those, the green groceries and the smoothie bars were popularized by COVID, I used to do that. And people thought I was crazy when I started that business. Fresh delivered produce, why would I want that? Healthy smoothie, no sugar added, why would I want that? That wasn't really the culture as yet at that time. Healthy smoothie? No. People in Olaba wasn't gravitating to that. That wasn't really the culture. I was ahead of my time when I think back now. But being ahead of my time doesn't always mean that people are ready for your vision. And people Olaba, they weren't ready for the vision. So eventually I had to close it. It failed because it wasn't making any money. I could not pay the girl that was working in there and turn a profit in order to pay my rent. So as a result, I close it. Well, that was what I told myself to console myself, right? But now when I look back, did I really fail or did it teach me? Honestly, it taught me inventory. I learned customer service. I learned marketing. I learned cash flow. I learned people management. I learned the risk and I learned resilience. So you see what I've learned from that? The positives are I look at it as a failure at the time, but in truth and in fact, it really taught me a lot, right? I taught me how to manage inventory. I would go to Kingston Market, on a market, go buy the things them from the farmers when the farmers truck come, right? Because I'm not gonna buy from the vendors. So I would go to Coronation Market, buy the things from the farmers who are selling out their produce cheap. Me I pick the best, come here go early, right? And then so that is inventory. It taught me customer service because when I was with the girl, because I used to work on shift then. So when I was with the young lady who worked in the smoothie bar, what I would do is that I would basically, you know, learn how to be more people friendly. So I was doing that. So it taught me customer service and how important customer service was. So it was not just about being in the background, it was about being in the foreground and running things, right? It also taught me marketing. I had to market my product. I remember I had to stand downstairs some evening when we just a kick off, when we do, before we have our soft launch. We were having our in the period of having our soft launch before we fully roll out, and then I would just introduce the young girls to come upstairs and buy a smoothie and thing, because I had a little cute cups, them little cute cups, the girl with a smoothie, like where you buy a matcha in. I had those cups, right? So I was like introducing the girls, like whenever they come to the hairdressing parlor, like, come over here, cute cups, and the girls them always did love cute cups. That was before TikTok and stuff. Instagram did wasn't popping as it is popping now, but the girls love it. So I learned marketing then, and then I learned cash flow, and cash flow can be good and dangerous at the same time. So I learned people management, because I had to work with somebody else, and I had to relinquish control and allow this young lady to run the business while I was not physically able to be there. I learned the risk of owning a business and the risk of doing that particular business, and of course the risk of everything else that I just said that I learned before. And I learned resilience, pull through, pivot, and keep going, right? So I considered it as a paid for education in business. It was a paid for education. So even today, when I drive past the location or I walk past the location, I feel something inside my chest, a little bit of tightness, a little bit of anxiety. Um, it's almost like I am passing a gravesite, right? Because buried there wasn't just a business. It felt like a piece of my dream was buried there, upstairs, Gateway Plaza. Maybe you know exactly where I mean, or exactly what I mean when I talk about it feels like a gravesite, because it feels like, a piece of my future left there, because I wasn't able to see it to fruition and I had to close it down, right? So maybe for you it might be different. Maybe there's a house, a church, a relationship, a school, or a company, a city, or just a place that when you pass it you feel this hurt, because you feel like there is some unfinished business. Yes. But then I continue scrolling through my phone and I found another picture, and this one licked me for six. Right, I was sitting in my car. Business was doing well, because by then I had moved on and I started another business, right? And I had in my lap $600,000 in cash sitting on my lap on both legs. And I was just looking at my little self and I was like, look at the little girl. Look at the little girl who was doing so well. This little girl is doing amazing. Look at this little girl doing so wonderful. And I was proud of myself. So I took a picture. And that picture represents one of my greatest victories. And here's the hard part: that was the very last time that I've ever held that much money in my hand. So I had in my hand $600,000. I've never had that much money in my hand before. And until today date, no, right now, month in July, I have never held that amount of money in my hand ever again at one time. So I took that picture at that time because everything was going so well, right? I took the picture because I was proud of myself and I shared it. Mhm. Yeah, I shared it with a couple people. And going back, never again, never again, because life happened and the business changed, responsibilities increased. I lost everything. Debt happened, reality happened. And also, at that time I had two taxis on the road and I was building my dream house. You can go back and watch the video of me building my dream house at the Morgan's Legacy on YouTube. You can go through and look at those pictures. Type in dream house in YouTube and slash the Morgan's Legacy, and you will see the progress. So the vlogs are still there. So those dream house vlogs, they're still there. You can go ahead and watch them. They just prove that at one point everything looked like it was going exactly according to plan, but life had a way of interrupting the blueprint. And you know the story, you know what happened with my son, you know what everything that happened after that, right? But here's what most people look at, the mistakes. They start announcing the dream, Every blessing, every opportunity, every move, everybody know, right? Everybody has an opinion. Everybody have access to where you were, right? Where you are in your life. And that is what my mistake was. I allowed access to everybody. I was just so happy and so proud of myself that I felt the need to share what was happening with me. I gave everybody that I thought was close to me access to my reality, access to how great I am doing. "Ah, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm doing this, all these things. I'm taking trips to Mexico, I'm in DR, and I'm doing all these things, and I'm sharing how successful everything is." Yes, everybody had access, everybody had an opinion, and everybody knew, and everybody knew every move that I made. That was my mistake. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Can you tell something that I've learned? Sometimes growth in silence is better. Jesus healed people, and sometimes he told them to shut up. If you go back in your Bible, go back and look. When Jesus healed people, he said, "Tell no one." Why? Because not everybody can handle the miracle. Not everybody deserve access to the process. Sometimes God hides what is growing until it's strong enough to survive public opinion. Yes? So the older I get, the quieter I have become. Not because I have nothing to say. So for the last 2 months, I have realized this and I've started to shut my mouth on a lot of things. Shut your mouth. Not because I have nothing to say, but because I have learned every announcement don't need an audience. Every big thing that is happening in your life right now don't need an audience. Not everybody need access to your life. Sometimes the greatest protection over your future is your silence. Shut your mouth. Some of us talk ourselves out of our miracles. We announce things way before we have been start praying and fasting for them. We tell people things only God will whisper to us. So God don't whisper the thing to you and you go and tell people. We start a business because a couple of people were clapping and we start telling people them about our business. God never say go. God whisper the business plan to you and you start tell people about it. And then what happen? It start falls apart. So we have to explain to people what happened. Sometimes you just need to shut your mouth. And here's another reason. Stop speaking defeat over your own life. Stop calling yourself ugly. Stop calling yourself broke. Stop calling yourself old. Stop calling yourself stupid. Stop saying that you will never recover from where you are. Stop saying that this is the life. I just this life give me a I just yeah somebody oh yeah me there, yeah man, right? Because eventually your ears start to believe exactly what your mouth keeps repeating. I still believe that my greatest days are ahead of me, not because life has been easy, not because everything seems to work out, and not because I haven't cried in a while, right? And not because I haven't failed, but because I have failed. And I have been crying tears, 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 and more tears. I confess everything that I've been through here on this live, on this platform. Yes? But because I believe that there's a true and living God. So when God whisper the business plan to you, shut your mouth, man. Shut your mouth, girl. When God whisper the purpose and tell you what you're supposed to be doing, shut your mouth, man. Be quiet. You talk too much. Go in your fasting and prayer and stop. Okay? I believe when God give you the dream and the vision, it is meant to be yours. Don't derail it with your mouth. Don't ruin your blessing with your mouth. Right now, if God showed me something years ago or years to come, shut in my mouth. Because once God showed me, I believe that He's able to finish it. Maybe not the way that I have imagined it, maybe not in my timeline, maybe not with the same people, but He is still able. So here's your homework this week. Pay attention to your mouth. Pay attention to the things that you're saying out of your mouth. And every time you catch yourself speaking death, replace it with life. Every time you catch yourself criticizing yourself, bless yourself. Every time you feel this fear, like fear is talking to you, tell fear to be quiet. Sometimes the people who needs to shut up is the voices in your own head, your own voice. Shut up. Stop in eyes. You talk too much. So maybe you're listening today and you're carrying the weight of failing dreams or failed dreams. Maybe you have buried your businesses. Maybe you have buried relationships. Maybe you have buried versions of yourself. Maybe you still drive past or walk past that place that reminds you of your graveyard. So hear me out. God specializes in resurrection. Because if there was no resurrection, me, you couldn't be here right now, I said Jesus. Yes? God specializes in resurrection. He has never needed a perfect past to create a beautiful future. Your story isn't over. Your best chapter may still be waiting to be written. So this week, keep some things between you and God. Shut your mouth. Protect your peace, protect your dreams, protect your vision, and above all, be careful what comes out of your mouth. Because one day you're going to look back at this season the same way I look back at those pictures from how many years ago, and you're going to realize that you are stronger than you thought, closer than you thought, more blessed than you thought, and more beautiful than you have ever given yourself credit. May God bless you and keep you. May His light continue to shine upon you. And may this episode be a blessing to you. I hope you can learn something from this episode. So until next time, this has been Woman to Woman. And remember, sometimes faith sounds like a prayer. Sometimes wisdom sounds like silence. And sometimes the onlyest thing that you can say is absolutely nothing. Shut your mouth. God bless you, and I will see you next week. Walk good.